Class is in session, hitting the books. College basketball show for Friday, February 28th. Ian Cameron with you. We'll hopefully have CMAC with us very shortly as well. But it is a very, very quick, rapid-fire kind of show we're going to do today. Kind of crunched for time. Only got about 30 minutes. So we will power through all the games, and then we'll get to the games we like tonight and best bets at the end. So let's get right into it. No time to waste. We have to move with haste. UCLA, Purdue. We've got Purdue 5.5-point home favorites, 6-point home favorites in some spots, 138 the total in this game, 138.5 in some spots. Look, a lot of people have made the case for Purdue, and I get it. Bounce back spot. They haven't been playing well. They're back home, though, at Mackey Arena, and certainly UCLA's got to travel here for this game. I feel like I'm alone on an island here. It's not a big bet, but I did take the points with UCLA. I need to see it from Purdue. They're not defending well at the moment, and what's a problem for them, too, is lately their offense has gone cold like it did in the second half against Indiana. Just more of a game where I've gotten into this pitfall at times of betting on the team, thinking they're going to play well, thinking they're going to bounce back, and they don't always do that. And Purdue's got to win by, more than 6 now. I don't feel comfortable with that. So UCLA's defense is often good enough to keep them in games. So a little bit on the UCLA side here, plus the 6. I've been on a lot of Purdue overs. I'm pumping the brakes on it tonight. I'm not betting under either, but I think this could be a lower scoring game. But again, Purdue's got to bring it defensively, and that's still, a pretty big if for them. Iowa Northwestern, the other Big Ten game tonight. We've got Northwestern 4-point home favorites, 150.5 the total. I mean, Iowa to me is just a team I have no interest betting down the stretch. They're not playing well. They're still not playing any defense. That becomes a problem. They got blown out by Illinois, of course, on Friday. And now they're going to have to look to, or last game, I should say, and now they're going to have to look to bounce back here against Northwestern. Northwestern's had some injuries. Northwestern is obviously not full of depth necessarily, but they do play hard. They've got the home court on their side here for this game. An Iowa team that, from a traveling standpoint, 1-7 on the road straight up, 2-6 against the number on the road for this Iowa team. So not seeing a whole lot of belief here that Iowa can go on the road here against Northwestern. So -4 with Northwestern here for me in this spot. Iowa is an over or pass type of team for me from a total standpoint right now. Their game did stay under against Illinois, but Illinois really tightened it up defensively. Will Northwestern do that? That's what you got to ask yourself. I lean to the over a little bit, but nothing that I'm super strong on there with that. All right, let's get to Saturday here. We've got UConn and Providence in the Big East. We've got UConn 5-point road favorites, 146 the total here in this game. Wow, did I get lucky with a good number on Georgetown against UConn in their last game, where UConn was laying a sizable number. I got I won by the hook with Georgetown. I think it was plus 14.5 I got on the Hoyas. They lost by 14. So I'll take it. That is for sure. It wasn't easy to win that one, but definitely will take it as far as that's concerned. Now, Providence not very good this year. This is a pass game for me. I'll be quite honest. I'm not laying points on the road with UConn. I don't care who they're playing. I'm not doing that right now with what we've seen from them. But at the same point in time, Providence, God, they don't look good at all. I mean, their only win in their last 7 games was against Villanova at home, and I'm not a big fan of the Villanova Wildcats by any stretch, but we've seen them blown out by Creighton, blown out by Xavier. They get trounced by Georgetown and Marquette, back-to-back road games. It's not a Providence team where I've got a lot of confidence in them right now, and so it's one of these, damned if you do, damned if you don't games. I don't want to lay points on the road with UConn, but I don't trust Providence. So it's an easy decision here for me to stay off this one. All right, next up, we've got Auburn and Kentucky. This is definitely one of the showdown games, you can say, coming up on Saturday. Very much looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. ABC will have this game tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. We've got Auburn. Right now, it looks like a 5-point road favorite at Rupp Arena, 166.5 the total in this game. Kentucky actually beat Auburn last year in Auburn as a 9-point dog, 70-59, outright as an underdog. They hammered Auburn 2 years ago, I should say, 86-54. Now, Auburn's rolling. That Ole Miss is a solid team. I'm not saying Ole Miss is great, but Ole Miss is solid. Auburn just destroyed them, made every shot. 106-76, a beatdown that was over Ole Miss. It's not easy to step in front of Auburn right now. Kentucky, though, they're off the 83-82 road win against Oklahoma. I get the sense Auburn wins this game. Do I want to lay 5? Maybe, maybe not. But, Auburn probably wants to pay back Kentucky for losing back-to-back years. And finally, Auburn does have the better basketball team right now. And that we know for sure. We'll have to see. It looks like, by the way, we were concerned about the injury status of Chad Baker Mazzara. He did play for Auburn against Ole Miss, and he played great. He's a big reason why Auburn put 106 on the board. 22 points from him. Janai Broom with another great performance, 24 and 9 for him. Now, Kentucky got healthier last game, too. Lamont Butler returned to the lineup for them. This should be a great basketball game. I think, though, Auburn, after losing in back-to-back seasons to Kentucky, probably has that sentiment coming into this game. We're finally better than these guys. Let's show them that we're the better team. And look, Kentucky's had some missteps here on their home floor against good teams. You think about the fact that they lost, obviously, to Arkansas on this court. They lost to Alabama on the home court earlier in SEC play. So this is difficult to step in front of Auburn right now. Like I said, they know now they're better than Kentucky, and I think maybe a point to prove for Bruce Pearl's team. So not saying I'm laying the points with Auburn, but I lean in that direction for this one. I have to lean over with this total. I don't know if this game, if 166 is high enough as far as this total goes. Certainly, I would expect the offenses to have their fair share of success here in this game. All right, Oklahoma and Ole Miss next up here on the Saturday slate. This also taking place, of course, in the SEC. And we've got for this one. Now, there were no lines for the games as of when I made the graphics that you see on screen. There were no lines posted for the rest of these games, so there won't be any graphics for the rest of the games on our game-by-game previews. But I can tell you that Ole Miss, 7.5-point home favorites right now, 152.5 the total. That's at least the projected point spread. A lot of these sides and totals are hitting the board as we speak, as we're doing this show right now. But it looks like Ole Miss is going to be in that 7.5-point favorite range, 152.5 the total in this game. Obviously, we've seen Ole Miss kind of come back down to earth, kind of struggle here of late. 3 straight losses, Mississippi State at home, back-to-back road losses to Vanderbilt, and then the destruction against Auburn. So certainly it's been tough times for Ole Miss, and it's a team from a point spread perspective, 1-8-1 against the spread. Their home games, I mean, other than the Kentucky win, they lose outright to Mississippi State on this floor. They fail to cover against Auburn. They won't win by 3, but fail to cover against Texas. So it's tough to lay points of this magnitude with Ole Miss. Meanwhile, Oklahoma, they are firmly on the bubble. Every game is significant for them. This is another opportunity to go on the road and beat a solid SEC team. And Porter Moser's team's got that opportunity here after a win against Mississippi State at home and just an absolutely heartbreaking loss to Kentucky at home in their last game. So it definitely feels like you're going to get a good effort from Oklahoma, and good effort might be enough to stay inside this number because Ole Miss certainly has been burning money ATS on their home floor as of late. So I'm leaning Oklahoma a little bit with the plus points. The total is high. Ole Miss continues to be an over machine because the defense just hasn't been the same. And we've seen with Oklahoma the last 2 games that when teams want to kind of score against them, and they can push pace when they want to. So lean over the total here as well with Oklahoma versus Ole Miss. All right, we continue along. Texas Tech and Kansas. Looks like Kansas a 3.5, 4-point home favorite. 145.5 being the total in this one. Kansas kind of written off a couple of games ago. And just what's wrong with them? They've fallen apart. Bill Self looks like he's totally out of, disconnected with this team. And sure enough, since then, they beat the hell out of Oklahoma State at home, and then they go on the road and they win and cover at Colorado. Now neither team is great, and this is going to be the true litmus test. Now you got to play a very good Texas Tech team. Now keep an eye on the injury situation here for Texas Tech. You're talking about Darian Williams, Chance McMillian, lots of key question marks here. Yalaho, all questionable for this game for Texas Tech. They were very shorthanded in their last game against Houston. And I took Houston in that game, not only because of the Texas Tech injuries, but Houston in a revenge spot. They lost a heartbreaker at home against Texas Tech. So it was a really good spot, I thought, to bet Houston in that one. So I think when you look at this spot here with Texas Tech, Kansas, it's Texas Tech off a loss. And if they get healthier, it feels like I should be betting Texas Tech here because they're the better team. I firmly believe that. Grant McCaslin's done a nice job. But Kansas has shown a pulse here these last two games. And if Texas Tech is still battling injury, I'm not sure I'm ready to trust the Red Raiders here necessarily. But at the same point in time, can Kansas show me they can beat someone other than Colorado twice and Oklahoma State? This is going to be a step up in class here for the Jayhawks. So if Texas Tech is even a little bit more healthier this game, I'm kind of leaning to the Red Raiders here, plus 3.5, plus 4 here at Kansas on Saturday. We got C-Mac in the house, ready to go. What do you think here, Max, since we're talking about it? Texas Tech versus Kansas on Saturday.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pass for me. I don't really want my money on either of these two teams. I mean, I look to it, Kansas, one spot at home. I just don't think they're a very good basketball team. I mentioned it. Both teams are kind of dealing with injuries. Texas Tech off their loss. I mean, I kind of saw that coming. It would have been great for them to sweep the season series with Houston, but they lost that. I think this game could be tight. The one game before, I just wanted to touch on the way Oklahoma's played. I know they played a lot better. That game was tight. Kentucky wins it in the end. I don't want my money really on either of those teams. If I had to do a side, I'd lay it with Ole Miss. But I think you go back to the over. One of the biggest things I was kicking myself was not taking that over. I had it with Ole Miss. They didn't get it done, but Auburn couldn't miss. But, man, we talked about that. Total was just too low the other day at 152, and that's what this total is, right around here. So I definitely lean over in that game.
All right, we continue along here. Seton Hall and St. John's in the Big East. We've got St. John's 21.5-point home favorites here against Seton Hall, and the total 133.5 in this game. St. John's gets the win against Butler, and with that win, I think they're outright Big East champs as well, regular season champions, that is. So here's the thing now. Pitino's been talking about the guys being banged up, guys being hurt. Now that they've locked up the Big East regular season crown, is this the spot you really want to be laying 21.5 with for St. John's? Not for me. Can you trust Seton Hall? Seton Hall has been a little bit scrappy lately. They've been a little bit more competitive. This is still New York versus New Jersey. There's that little bit of a regional rivalry going on here when you're talking about these two teams. Obviously, St. John's just beat the absolute daylights out of Seton Hall, 79-51 at Seton Hall back in January. But there's the angles in play here where big road underdog in revenge, losing at home in the first meeting. And now that St. John's has kind of locked things up, I'm probably going to end up grabbing the points here. 21.5 in a spot where, you've clinched everything already. If you're St. John's, it feels like, St. John's by maybe 12 or 15 or 16. I don't know about St. John's by 22. Look, if they play their best game, they're capable of covering. But I think with them locking up everything, it's not the spot to lay 21.5. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, not after lock it up. There's just no way. They should definitely win this game easy. Well, Seton Hall playing better. It's just been better basketball at home where we saw them cover again. And to start the year, they just weren't getting drilled on the road in a lot of their games, where it's just been awful. It's like 24-point loss, 26-point loss. They've been really, really bad. But, yeah, this game means nothing to St. John's. So I kind of lean Seton Hall. I don't know if I want to see them. They got to play defense and keep a game a lot slower and not get up and down, which has worked a little bit more at home than, of course, on the road where they get their ass, ripped.
One correction. St. John's has only clinched a share of the Big East title at this point. To get the outright Big East title, they still do have to win one more game. Doesn't mean that's win 22, though. That's the thing. Well,
that's, yeah. It was, great clarity, but they're good. Yeah. They're going to win. They're going to win this game.
Yeah, it's just a question of margin. Exactly. Alabama, Tennessee. Tennessee, 3.5-point home favorites. The total here, 156.5 across the board. Obviously, when we talk about Alabama, the threes have to be falling. Certainly, that's a big part of any of the success that they are able to have. The one thing we've also talked about Alabama, and it's kind of a broken record, but we got to bring it up again. They've how great they've been on the road. They've been a really, really good road team. Other than the Missouri game, that's the one game where they got, I guess you could say, on the road. But for the most part, they've been a pretty solid road team. I never liked to lay points, though. Like with Missouri, they were like a pick 'em. Here, Tennessee is laying, 3.5 here in this game on Saturday against Alabama. It's a classic matchup of this Tennessee defense against an Alabama team that can light it up. There's no question. Alabama bounced back from the Missouri loss with the wins against Kentucky and Mississippi State at home. This is a first meeting between these two teams this year. They have not played. Tennessee's actually owned them. 3 straight wins, 3 straight covers for the Vols over the Crimson Tide. But I'm leaning Bama here at the 3.5 number. They've been good on the road other than that one game against Missouri. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll lean the other way here with Tennessee. About Alabama, all the success on the road. They've been good. You know what? They in that game, not against Mississippi State. The game before that against Kentucky last Saturday, we had talked about the points even went up from that. Kentucky was right there. Shout out to Bama. They hit 3 threes in the last 2 minutes or so, or less than 2 minutes. They're just huge. They didn't have the best shooting night, but man, they drilled them when it mattered late. This seems like just a tough spot for them. I mean, they've just been lighting it up. We know they go super fast, and this is the total other side. Tennessee at home wants to control the clock, slow everything down. One of the top 5 defenses in the country. So I think they can get that done. So I like Tennessee here.
USC and Oregon. This is in the Big Ten. Oregon 9-point home favorites, 153.5 the total in this game. This is that time of year. Tomorrow's March 1st, by the way. First day of March is tomorrow for this big Saturday slate. I don't bet against Dana Altman in March. I just don't. I just don't. This is always when his teams get going and peak and play their best. But am I going to lay 9 in this spot with them against USC? Probably not, but I'm not betting against Oregon either. So I'm looking more to this total. Over is what I'm thinking. 153.5. This USC team continues to be a dead nuts over machine, cashing one after another. Easy over the total winner, them in Ohio State the other night. It flew over the total. Give me the over here. That's the look here. C-Mac, what do you think? USC, Oregon.
Yeah, they're just playing no defense. They have the scores, I think, to maybe hang around. But I think this is lay it with Oregon or nothing. But SC's been able to hang around. That's the one thing. Maybe they can. I don't know if I want to get involved, but I think Oregon wins here. Maybe even look at their team total. There definitely should be some points. I agree.
All right, good stuff. I agree over, and I lean Oregon too. I do. Do I want to lay 9? I'm not sure, but I certainly wouldn't be betting against Oregon, not at this time of year. And we saw what they're starting to do lately, picking it up as they usually do, getting into March. All right, Creighton and Xavier. This should be a good one here in the Big East. Xavier, 1.5-point home favorites at Cintas Center, 150 the total. I think home court could be the difference here. I usually like to back Xavier in any sort of reasonable price range when they're at home. Now, not easy, obviously, to go up against this great Creighton Blue Jays team. When Stephen Ashworth's got it rolling, when Kalkbrenner is a beast down low, that's as good a 1-2 inside-outside punch as there is in this conference. They're certainly playing well, 8-2 straight up their last 10 games. They did lose their last road game against a very good Big East team, though, losing to St. John's, 79-73. Xavier's got a 13-2 home record entering this matchup. Revenge spot 2 because Creighton won it down in Omaha, 86-77 over Xavier back in January. I think I like Xavier in this spot. Short number near a pick'em price range. What do you think here, Creighton, Xavier?
I want to pull this up. What's the total you have here?
The total in this one is 150.
Yeah, 150. First matchup was 143. I think it could still get there. Creighton, why they've been so good. You mentioned Cochran inside, but the numbers defensively are pretty strong. which I kind of think of maybe with this Creighton team, and they've been very good against the number.
Yep.
But yeah, this is a revenge spot. I think Xavier at home can get them. We'll see. The three's big to them. Been very good at the free throw line, and they get there.
Yes.
Which those things I like to see. Get to the line and make them at the end of the game.
Right.
Is big. So I kind of lean their way too. This should be a good one too. I like the over, but it's just a little bit high. But Xavier, if that's how if play well, if they shoot halfway decent, they should be right there, and this should get over.
Yeah, I like Xavier more, but I do like the over a little bit. I'll probably have a smaller bet on the over. 8-2 to the over for Xavier, by the way, in their
they've been going over
lately. Their last 10 games. All right, Cincinnati and Houston as we go back to the Big 12. Houston 14.5-point home favorites, 125.5 the total in this game. Houston off the big win against Texas Tech and now laying the big number, and they haven't been quite as automatic laying these big numbers this year, Houston. The question is with Cincinnati, who, look, they're playing really good at the moment. They've won 5 of their last 7. The losses were at Iowa State on the road by 11, covered the number. Only a 3-point loss at West Virginia. You look at the fact that Houston has won against Cincinnati 10 straight times, yet Cincinnati has covered 3 of the last 4 meetings against Houston. Will that continue here? So this is an interesting one. I'm actually leaning a little bit Bearcats. UC here getting 15 against Houston. C-Mac, what do you think here, Bearcats and Cougs?
Yeah, it's like they want to play the same style as Houston does Cincy. Yeah. Can that work? The last few times they played, they just don't make enough shots in the end, the Cincinnati team, which is tough against Houston. Yeah, and this total's low. Like I was going through a little bit earlier, some of the totals between them. Usually they're right in that 135 range. This is way low, of course, because Cincy's been a really big under team all year long. So it's going to tell when you have a total like this and that many points, I think they could maybe hang around here a little bit. So I lean to the dog here too as well. I think this just is a boatload. Too many here that they could maybe hang in here. And that's kind of been their losses when these two get together. It seems like they're 9, 10, 11-point games.
Yep, and I think it might just be a few too many as well here for Cincy and Houston. All right, Missouri, Vanderbilt, back to the SEC we go for this matchup. We've got Vanderbilt on the home floor. The Missouri, 2.5-point road favorites in this one, 155.5. I've seen enough from Vandy at home, and I have enough respect for Byington, who I keep raving about being such a great hire from James Madison for this program. That I like Missouri a lot too. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to see Vanderbilt as a home underdog here. I'm not going against them. They've got that pretty good home track record. They beat Ole Miss at home. They beat Texas at home. They beat Kentucky at home. Tennessee at home. They've notched a lot of really good home wins, 13-2 overall on the home floor. Missouri, meanwhile, bounced back from the loss at Arkansas with the win at home against South Carolina. But they have had some missteps on the road. They lost at Texas. They lost at Tennessee. Again, they lost their last road game at Arkansas, Missouri. So, they're not bulletproof away from Columbia. I think it's Vandy if I were to get involved here as a slight home underdog. C-Mac, what do you think here, Mizzou, Vandy?
Yeah, I like Vandy here at home. I'll take it here. I think you grabbed a couple points. I think they went outright. As much as I like this Missouri team, they've struggled against teams on the road. And when I get to these two, I keep going, even at this total, we should lean over here.
Yep, I agree.
I just, too many skill, and these two teams both shoot it well. I think they could get to the line. Missouri, they're a ton. I think they've been 2 or 3 all year, both free throws, attempts, and makes. And both teams, shoot the three well, especially Missouri. So lean over, and I like Vandy here at home. 13-2, solid record. This should be a good game to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. All right, next up, we've got Marquette and Georgetown. Back we go to the Big East for this one. We've got Marquette, 5.5-point road favorites, and the total here sitting at around, looks like, let me see here. We had it up on the screen. There we go, 141.5 for the total here. Look, Marquette's only 4-7 against the spread on the road. Their run of late. They have not been great on the road. Georgetown, and a late season, and Ed Cooley's a good coach, and we know that going back to the Providence days. They had a little bit of a rough patch there, but they are now 5-1 ATS in their last 6, and they covered and defeated Xavier. They beat Seton Hall. They lost by 11 at Butler, which was the rough game, but at home they beat Providence. They cover at Creighton. Remember, they were in front in the first half against Creighton, and then Creighton made a big run to turn that game around. Same thing with UConn. Georgetown was toe-to-toe with UConn first half into the second half, and then UConn kind of pulled away. I think they might give Marquette a battle here. Marquette's not a team I'm comfortable laying a number like this on the road. And look, Georgetown, 5 of the last 6 they've covered. So they've been undervalued. So I'm kind of leaning Georgetown here, plus 5.5 at home. CMAC, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of do. I mean, after that kind of bad stretch, I thought they were playing a little bit over their head. I'm like, man, I'm just dead wrong on this team. To start the year. And then they've kind of cooled off. They're problem. They have to play great defense. They don't have the best scores. Yeah, I like Vandy already full game. But if Missouri goes up, yeah, that might be a really good look. Shout out to everyone in here. My guy T Moss, great to see you. My dude Ross Pitts.
Shout out to Oldie. 5 days a week for this show, starting Monday next week. So get ready. Yeah,
get ready. And Sorber's been out, I don't think he's going to be back too, but that doesn't matter. I think maybe that was big in the beginning. I don't know. I got to look at this game a little bit more.
Yeah.
They've been playing well. Marquette's really owned them as of late, but I don't know if you want to be laying 6 or 7 with Marquette on the road right now. So yeah, I kind of lean Georgetown on this one.
All right. Next up, we've got Oklahoma State taking on Baylor. Baylor 12.5 point home favorites, 152.5 the total in this game. Baylor has actually owned this series, 3 straight wins, 3 straight covers against Oklahoma State. But do you want to lay doubles with Baylor right now is the question you got to ask yourself. A team that's lost 4 of their last 5 games, 0-4-1 ATS in their last 5 games. On the flip side, what do you get on the road from Oklahoma State? Because they've had some good road performances. They've had some horrific ones like the Kansas game, like the Kansas State game where they got blown out. I'd still maybe lean to the Cowboys here. 12.5 is not a number I'm comfortable laying with Baylor at this point in time. And I will say this about Oklahoma State and Baylor. 3 of the last 4 meetings have been decided by 6 points or less. So maybe it is too many points here. Lean Okie. I don't know if I bet it, but I lean Okie State. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, Oklahoma State still, they've got this thing. They don't play, any defense at all. But I think this rivalry is still pretty big. And I just don't know that this Baylor team, of course, is very good. It sucks. They're kind of off the 3 losses. They are back here at home. Seems like a good spot. And maybe this is one you look that they're down and come back, or because I don't know what happens here. Because Baylor could have a crazy great half here at home, but I think it's the points too with Oklahoma State, a team that still struggles. You turn the ball over, but I think they can hang around in this game. Too many here.
All right, Texas A&M and Florida. Next up, this should be an interesting one here. We've got A&M and Florida, Aggies and Gators. 8.5 point home favorites, Florida. 146.5 the total in this game. If Florida had not lost, and that was a bit of a surprise, but, it's the SEC. You're going to get tripped up sometimes, even against some of the lesser teams. But if they hadn't lost at Georgia and played so poorly, I might take A&M here, but I don't know if I want to go against Florida off a loss. A&M's been very flighty. It's kind of been disappointing what we've seen from them, certainly as far as consistency is concerned. A&M's lost 3 in a row. Mississippi State, Tennessee, that Vanderbilt game at home, 8-point favorites. They were trailing most of the game. That was a clear right side Vanderbilt in that game. So, yeah, I worry for A&M here. They're walking into a buzzsaw here down in the swamp. C-Mac, what do you think?
I know. And, it's just this time of year. Like, if we look at the full body, like, to me, I want to take A&M, but they're just haven't been playing good basketball. They've been, the defense was so good, hasn't been there. Bunch of fouls in that game
Yep.
too, like just sloppy a little bit too that you hadn't really seen. It's same thing with Tennessee. Tennessee shot the bell, but 2 losses at home, and then you talked about Florida. Finally a hiccup there. Keep laying 8.5, 10 or more right on the road. It's not easy to do that in the schedule. It finally caught up with them. So this is a tough game for me. Like I want to take A&M. I don't know. This team just seems out of it. Do we go kind of a do or die big spot, or just they get their ass kicked again?
Yep, no doubt. Good one here. Arizona, Iowa State. Iowa State 4.5-point home favorites. 153.5 the total. Not your average revenge spot, because Iowa State lost earlier this year at the McHale Center in Arizona. I remember that game. Caleb Love, half-court heave, drains it, goes to overtime, and then Iowa State was totally dispirited. Arizona took over, won 86-75 in overtime. Heartbreaking, brutal loss for Iowa State, because they probably should have won that game. I thought they were better than Arizona for a good chunk of that game on the road. Now they get them in revenge mode. Hilton Magic, we know how strong this home court is. Now, they haven't been covering every number at home, but they've been laying big numbers lately at home. I think they bounce back here from that loss at Arizona earlier this year. I really like this spot and how it sets up, especially with the Cyclones coming home off a couple of poor road performances. Give me Iowa State. Hilton Magic rears its ugly head, not ugly head, but Iowa State, Hilton Coliseum Magic is back in full force tomorrow, I believe. Iowa State minus 4.5 for me in this one. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, this is one I want to just look at a little bit more, because I kind of want to take Iowa State maybe first half here. Just get back home in this spot. Like you mentioned, the game earlier that they lost, that whole debacle of that game against Arizona earlier in the year. This would be really, really big. It's kind of the shitty trials. But Arizona, though, playing a lot better. Easy win. They did get the cover against Utah. I like what they've changed around a little bit with their offense. I still think, they're flawed. They're going to get bounced in the tournament quickly. But it's a lot of turnaround from what I saw early on with this team, and the better defense here, Iowa State. So
it's the angle we talk about a lot in this next game. West Virginia, BYU. BYU 8.5-point home favorites at the Marriott Center. The total 138.5 in this game. But again, C-Mac, this is home loss for West Virginia against BYU in Morgantown, and now you're in revenge on the road as a dog, getting 8.5 points. That angle says to bet West Virginia plus 8.5 here in this game against BYU, and I think I might get there with it. BYU, yeah, I like that home court, and obviously we saw what happened with them in beating Arizona at home, but that was a close game. Winning by margin. West Virginia is a plucky, feisty team, and DeVries is a good coach. Even though I don't think they're going to be this year as talented as they may be in the future. So I'm still leaning West Virginia with that angle, plus 8.5. They actually really should have won that game against BYU the first meeting. Let it slip. BYU got the win. Now they're in this angle that's been so profitable. I'm leaning to the Mountaineers here, plus 8.5 at BYU. C-Mac, what do you think?
Big. I think they do. They win this, slow it down, play their style and defense. Can they do that here in Provo? That's like the big question. And will BYU, their shooting be red hot? Some of these guys that have been solid, and West Virginia in a pretty good team on the road, not great. 3-6. The record, I think they covered a few more. They do have a few blowouts. Texas Tech, a couple others, but a lot of other close games. I kind of lead their way. If guys like Small keep on having big games, which he's played a lot better lately, then they could hang around in this one. It's just tough, in Provo here.
Yeah, no question about that. All right, next up, maybe I'm walking into a bear trap here with this one, or I should say a bulldog trap here, but Gonzaga and San Francisco, late night on Saturday. We've got Gonzaga, a 9.5-point road favorite in this game in San Francisco, 156.5 the total. San Francisco's unbeaten at home. Okay, and we're talking about an unbeaten home team, 9.5-point home underdogs.
Played great the other night at Oregon
Yep.
State. I mean, yeah.
Now Gonzaga, when they play like they did in the second half against Santa Clara, that's a team that's
Yeah.
scary. But how often have we seen that kind of a half from Gonzaga? This season, not often. But that's when they pulled away against the Santa Clara Bronx the other night. They're still, 16-0. Remember, San Francisco beat St. Mary's, who might even be better than Gonzaga this year. And San Francisco beat St. Mary's on this floor 65-64 just a few weeks ago. I think it's too many. I think San Francisco has proven, especially on this floor with the Gerlofson, the coach, that they are certainly good enough on their home court. And we don't even need them to win this game or even be right there at the end. We're getting 9.5 points. I think this is a little bit of a too many points situation here for Gonzaga. I know they've owned San Francisco, but boy, I think San Francisco is certainly good enough and Gonzaga's flighty enough that San Francisco, I think, plus 9.5 can hang inside this number. CMAC, what do you think?
Yeah, and like this has been the ultimate where it's like they beat St. Mary's and Gonzaga's just owned them. Like even Santa Clara, Gonzaga's lost to and stuff. Like this would be huge for the San Francisco team, and they've been unbelievable at home. It's like is Gonzaga put it all together? I don't know. I don't think so. I definitely lean I like the over here. Once again, I think this is too.
Yeah, first meeting went over in the kennel. That's in Spokane. Yep.
That was 153.5. We probably talked about that being light. This should move up. It's around 150, 156, right?
156.5. Yep. The last two meetings have gotten into the 160s. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is an over as well. Two teams that definitely push pace, not the best defenses. So over here and San Fran.
All right, there you have it. That's our Saturday game-by-game preview here. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Justin McKelvey, Timothy Hake, Old E, Ross Pitts, Team Moss, GNL Photo, Canes Nation, Redbeard. Good to see all of you in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. All right, Friday card, CMAC. And I know we haven't gotten your thoughts yet on the Friday card. What are you liking for the Friday board here tonight?
Ryder. I think Ryder hangs around that game. I think you can look at the under. This was a lead for me, but I have to just keep it that way. It was Fairfield. Mount St. Mary's has just played too good. And one thing Fairfield has got me multiple times at home this year. They've just been very up and down. If they come to play, they win.
Winning these close games one after another,
and they keep winning. And like everything wants to like bet Fairfield here. Yep. And if they play well, they will. But I've seen them just have these stakers at home and be so inconsistent. I don't know what team we get. The good team here, Fairfield, they win outright. As it's dropped 2.5 to 1.5 or so. Just go money line. That was a pretty strong lean for me. That's it. I'm looking at, of course, UNLV late. Thomas, he's been out. I think that hurts them down the line. So that's it. But here, I'll give you my best bet because I know you got to get out of here.
Yeah, best bet.
Man, if you want to put it on me. Here, right now. Georgia State. I'll give you this. Plus 5.5. I don't buy it here against Georgia Southern. These teams match up so even. And I'm surprised that I think this line should have been 2. So Georgia State here, plus 5.5. Keep this game tight. Maybe even win it outright. Georgia State.
And a Saturday best bet, if you've got one. No pressure if you don't have one.
I don't, but I gave you earlier Vandy. I like Vandy here, plus 2.5. We'll go with Vandy. I like a bunch of totals like we talked about, but I got to look at it a little bit more, of course. Yep. I try to do as much as we can on these Fridays. But, give me that Vandy, plus 2.5.
There we go. All right, I'll give you 2. I'll give you a side for Friday. And by the way, rapid fire with the Friday board. Niagara in the over versus Iona. I like I like the over in that Mount St. Mary's Fairfield game. I like Canisius, believe it or not. Getting a 6 against me. They've been a little covering machine for me lately. Canisius, even for how bad they were earlier on. St. Peter's, a few too many points they're getting. I think they can keep it within single digits against Quinnipiac in that game as well. I'm with CMAC on Ryder. Merrimack has been a money burner at home, especially laying points. Arkansas State, UL Monroe, over. I like that. Texas State at home against JMU. I don't argue with CMAC's look to Georgia State. I'm going to give ULL a shot one more time. Just a few too many points for me.
I like it. I didn't bet it. How can you not? I don't know. I don't think South Alabama should be laying that. And ULL just how they struggled to score. It showed the other night, but
yeah,
I agree.
No doubt. App State in the angle, plus points against Marshall, a little bit on that. Northwestern, I think we talked about that. Here's one I really like. Akron beat the shit out of Kent State at Kent State, and now Kent State in revenge. Kent State with Senderoff as the coach. They're playing well. I think that at the very least they cover getting 4.5 on the road, revenge spot at Akron. That's a heated rivalry. They got just destroyed at home by Akron earlier this season. Redemption time for the Golden Flashes. I think them plus the points at the Zips is a good one there tonight.
I like it. I like it.
That is my best bet. That is also my best bet. Give me Kent State plus the points against Akron here tonight in a heated MAC rivalry. +4 is still available. Kent State +4 against Akron for my best bet for Friday. Yeah, CMAC, go ahead.
I like it. No, they've been so much better. I think to figure out offensively, Kent State. Like they just, at least a little bit, and Akron, not the best team. This team is very good. It's shown. Akron's unbelievable on the field. At home, I think this year, I don't think they have a loss. Double check. I think they're 14-0.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this game's close. I think Kent State is definitely in it.
I agree. Kent State for me for Friday best bet. My Saturday best bet, we're going to go to that USC Oregon over 153.5. USC overs just continue to keep on rolling for me. So that's the Saturday best bet, USC Oregon over 153.5. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Remember, next week we go Monday to Friday throughout the month of March for the rest of the college basketball season. Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, starting Monday. Looking forward to 5 days a week with the college basketball Hitting the Books show.
Yes, can't wait for it. March is here. Gotta love it, Vivano. Shout out to everyone. And yeah, our guy Steer and go. Just rewind it forward. Bavano hits the Purdue game.
Yep.
Just rewind it and go back to the beginning.
I'm an island there. I'm on not a big bet, small bet only, but I'm a small bet on UCLA there. I got to see it from Purdue before I'm laying 6 with them.
They've struggled.
Yeah.
We'll see if they have a big game at home. Yeah.
We'll see.
Great.
Indeed. Great stuff, my friend. We'll see you Monday. Shout out to everyone. Hit the like button on the way out. For CMAC, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night and a great weekend. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you Monday as we go 5 days a week with the college basketball Hitting the Books show. Until then, class dismissed.